welcome to another depressing episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. And now here's your dejected and demoralized host, Voice of Doom. Sao Sheng Hao, Pang Yo Min. Good morning, friends. I am going to do a free-form screed diatribe. I don't have many notes. I have thoughts in my head, and I have ideas of what's happened in the past few days. No disasters. I mean, just the usual disasters, just the usual exacerbation of disasters, and previews of disasters to come. But nothing just right now happening. No explosions in America. And I'm getting a bit impatient, and I'm not wishing for a disaster, but I want to get this conflagration over with. Because the sooner we do that, the sooner we can all decide how we're going to restructure society. So I wish it would hurry, and I'm talking about just like a few days to a few weeks, because the microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. And I went to a employee meeting at my work, and they talked about the usual things that you talk about in a restaurant employee meeting, service and blah, 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 and policies and different procedures that might work better. And that's always good, and I had no problem with any of it. But the main gist I got from it was that prices are really skyrocketing. And I heard on the news cases of chicken wholesale are up between 300% and 400%. That's 3 or 4 times what it was a few months ago. And beef, forget about it. I don't even know what it is, but I know that my bosses and the head chef are having a hard time juggling, the product. They have to keep switching from, supplier to supplier because the prices change so drastically. And if you can get something for like $200 less for a case, then you jump on it. And it's almost like playing the futures, with food. And there was some amazing things, like, for instance, we're an Italian place, and a lot of our, the most economical stuff that if you want meat, it's going to be chicken. And that's just the way it is. We're meatballs. But we have seafood. Really good dish. Gambariti and langoustine, and it's basically a fettuccine with shrimp and langostino, which is a form of lobster. So it's like langostino, and it's like we don't have langostino for the dish, so they can substitute something or whatever, but we don't have it. And it's like we say langostino is $800 for 5 pounds. So it's ridiculous. It turns out to, whatever the price was, it turns out that it's $10 per ounce of langostino, which is a small little amount. I said, how much do you put in the dish? And they go, 2 ounces. So that's $20 wholesale price just for a couple, dollops of langostino in the thing. So I'm seeing disaster. And I'm feeling like maybe a lot of restaurants can't stay open after a while because hyperinflation means hyper. It means fast. It means fast and steep, precipitous. Now, at the same time, just out of coincidence, the phone rang and it was a customer. And the manager picked it up and then started a little, disagreement with the customer and a little kind of, I'm sorry, but, and it had to do with masks. Now, whenever you have ridiculous mandates and ridiculous behavior, you're going to convince a certain amount of dupes and sheep and brainless morons that this is the right way, because the government said it's the right way. This engenders and it creates busybodies. There's always going to be busybodies. There were busybodies in Leave It to Beaver's neighborhood. The neighbor, that wanted the kids out of the yard. Gladys Kravitz, the nosy bodies. They get into other people's business and make sure everybody's doing it correctly. So it was about masks, and our restaurant does not require masks because our owner is a surgeon and he has his opinion about those issues. And he says that a mask is not required in the restaurant. And it makes sense because you have to take the mask off to eat. And it's the same thing with the politicians. They have their masks on when they walk up to the podium and then they take it off. Now, what does that mean? Were they protecting themselves with the mask and now they're taking a chance by taking it off? Or they, trying to keep from breathing on others so I can take it off now because nobody's within 6 feet and those viruses know to fly around in a certain pattern and stay in certain areas so that they won't disperse or do anything. I mean, you take the mask off, that's okay because they're 6 feet away. Now, I'm not a virologist and I'm not an immunologist, but it just seems to me that particles in the air float around. Oh, well, they don't last long, unless it's on a wet surface. Everybody was, I can go on and on. The point is, she was complaining that she was going to report us. And she's never coming. She came in 2 nights in a row and no one was wearing masks. And that's just awful. And you're breaking the law and you're causing a safety hazard and a health hazard. And I'm going to report you to the governor and I'm never coming there again. And the manager's like, please don't. And please do. Please call the governor and please don't ever come back. Because we don't need it. You don't need busybodies, nagging about something that's absolutely irrational anyway, on the surface, on the prima facie, on its face. It's irrational and it's ridiculous. I see tens of thousands of people in a column coming toward the southern border. Half have masks on and half don't. Now, what does that mean? Some of them are worried about giving germs or some of them are worried about getting germs. And some of them don't worry at all. And they're carrying the babies in their hand and their knapsacks. And it's like, what exactly is going to happen with these people that are toting their kids? I mean, it's surrealistic. It's Fellini-esque. It's something out of a movie that should never have been made because the plot is just too bizarre. All these people marching up with their kids in their hands and a knapsack. What do they have? What do they expect to get? I guess they expect to get a lot. But the madness and the microcosm is my situation is bad. There's no two ways about it. And I've had a little theory about, when I say bad, I'm not depressed. I'm happy. But I'm behind financially. And I sometimes think that maybe we bit off more than we could chew. We all drive nice cars, and I like having, by nice, I mean they're new. They're Toyotas, they're Hondas, whatever. But they're new, basically. So we don't have to worry about car repairs every 5 minutes. But, Max was sick, and it set us back. And my hours have been cut, and my tips are much less because it's slow, and it's getting into the slow season. So we're going to struggle. And what I wanted to say is my main theme of how the microcosm and the macrocosm are kind of the same. Our family's kind of fallen apart. I mean, financially, we're fine. We are fine, but financially it's hard. We can't keep up. And I've had a theory for a long time that I've never really articulated because why bother? But I will do it now because I have this little outlet that somebody might watch. There was a novel written in 1957 by Ayn Rand, who was a Russian-born philosopher who was a rationalist and an objectivist, and I don't want to get too into that. She wrote a story about how the rich guys decided they were sick and tired of being controlled by the government and sick and tired of the regulation and the corruption, and they just decided they weren't going to do it no more. That's the basic gist of it. And so they just stopped, and the government and the economy and the government collapsed. Now, I'm thinking about a little movement called Lilliput Shrugged. Not Atlas Shrugged, it's Lilliput Shrugged. And by Lilliput Shrugged, I mean the little people have to just shrug it off. We can't do it anymore. And in my theory, if I just decide to shine on all my bills, which I'm about to do, they'll come after me. Because, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are having trouble. But if everybody in the lower middle and working class and even the upper middle class and even the so-called landed class, the upper, they have more than $500,000, even them. Shrug it off. Everybody together, shrug it off. Shrug everything off. Then where are they going to get their $5.3 trillion? Where are they going to get it? They can't get it from unrealized capital gains, which sounds like the biggest corrupt crap piece of garbage. I'm glad I don't have any money in the stock market. I'm very glad. And the stock market keeps going up because people are playing games and they're making money with the futures by, ups and downs, and they make millions of dollars. The billionaires will always make more. The Lilliputians, the little people, have to shrug it off. That would be more effective than if the rich people did. Just everybody stop. No more bills. No more insurance. No more car payments. And if you feel guilty about that, then just take your car back to the dealership and leave it there and say, I'm sorry, I'm not paying it anymore. And leave it at that and let the litigation go where it will, because if hundreds, well, at least tens of millions of people do it, there won't be any way they won't have any recourse. What are they going to do? Have 10 million lawsuits, 10 million people going to court trying to get their money? They already did it with the COVID relief for rent or whatever, said a moratorium on your mortgage or rent if, because of the thing, and they didn't make any distinction about what your situation is. Are you out of work? Are you not out of work? You just don't pay I don't know how much of that is still in arrears. But I know I'm in arrears, and it's like a month. I'm a month behind, and it feels bad to me. I don't like shirking my responsibilities, but I can't do it much longer, okay? And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. So if the Lilliputians shrug, the little people, we'll see change. We'll see drastic change. And there's a very good answer to solving our problems. But I wish the conflagration would come, because the sooner it comes, the sooner we'll have bigger fish to fry than worrying about whether I paid my, water bill on time. Or whether, what have you. I don't even know how much longer I'm going to be making money. I still have Social Security. I'm sure I'll keep getting that. And the only reason I have that is because I had the misfortune of losing my, mate who was a economic partner. So I'll have that, I guess, until that goes dry. And even that will be eroded by inflation. So it's a microcosm, and I just told you why it's connected with the macrocosm. And I wish the macrocosm would just crumble tomorrow, because then I can say I don't have to worry about paying my credit card bill this month because it's collapsed. It's over. It's done. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm one of the few people that say, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. And I went past 15 minutes. I don't think I said much, but I think I said a lot. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm going to get on with my day. And my kid's still feeling kind of sick, and he's kind of worried about his health too. So that's another thing we have to worry about. But we're happy because we're mastering our minds. And, happiness isn't based on your finance and health. It's based on your inner being. I'll talk more about that with my history of religion and Buddhism, what I discovered. I'll leave it at that. Xie xie and ni hao.